After LeBron James decided to take his remaining ounce of talents to Philadelphia, the free agency market has been awfully silent, with many big namers still yet to be signed. At the height of peak summer NBA boredom, a couple promising contenders have their work cut out for them. With franchise-altering decisions, that'll determine how far they'll go in the coming years. Starting off with the Detroit Pistons, the restricted all-star 22-year-old center Jalen Durham, who spent the first 6 months of last season building a case to argue for the max deal, included in statistical categories mentioned in the same breath as wilt, maintaining elite efficiency all regular season, true shooting percentage king, massive improvements on both ends. Then came the final month of the season, a postseason meltdown we haven't seen since 2014 Roy Hibbert, an absolute head-scratching embarrassment of a postseason. From averaging 19 and 10 to being benched in crunch time minutes to Paul Reed, an absolute travesty of a collapse. One of the worst players to ever make All-NBA selection all decade, eligible for an extension well north of 200 mil. You have guys like Victor Wembanyama taking a pay cut, just signed for 5 years, $252, 100 times much better player than Durham can ever dream to be. The Pistons now have all the bargaining power. There's more of a chance Durham gets waived than getting the max. From showing low effort in both the Orlando and Cleveland series, could decide to play next season, getting a qualifying offer. But see what happened to Cam Thomas. Instead of complaining and going back and forth with the front office, should be hitting the gym, working on the outside shots. Still hasn't made a three in his career. It's almost better for Detroit to outright lose him for nothing. The one-time All-Star don't have much of a choice. Should just take the deal on the table, whatever Detroit gives him. A realistic option for Durham at this point, what Walker Kessler got, 4 years, 129 mil. It's just that simple. James Harden of the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Beard deserves his credit for taking smaller deals and adapting his game. We know what he can do in an 82-game season, but come playoff time, the struggles will be severe. Harden himself always willing to be a team player to take less money, even adapt his game a bit. His team, despite making all the way to the conference finals, nowhere close to contending, especially being swept humiliatingly by the Knicks. Adding Mario Hezonja won't change a damn thing. Cavs have no choice but to bring the soon-to-be 37-year-old back after trading away Darius Garland. The Beard, a bona fide 20.8 assist guy, a 2-year $50 million deal will probably be the best bet. DeMar DeRozan, low-key one of the most underratedly durable stars all time, also soon to be 37 years old, has been a bucket-getting journeyman ever since Toronto gave up on him, knowing he wasn't super elite, just a good regular season scoring guy, waived by the small market pathetic Kings. No teams wanted his contract, so Sacramento ran out of other solutions. DeMar might have to come off the bench for the first time in his career. His last meaningful season, 2022, everything went downhill from there. Will be looked upon as this generation's Smith Richmond, never close to the conversation as best player, will be a Hall of Famer, now a sixth man at best. Based on his latest post, all signs are pointing towards signing back with the Raptors. Still has a bit of value, but being a no 3 and no D guy, a disaster in this decade's NBA. We also seen some Miami buzz and interest from the Wizards. At this point, the 6-time All-Star should take a LeBron caliber deal and play out the rest of his career. Jonathan Kuminga, a short stint with the Atlanta Hawks. Teams like the Cavs and Lakers show some interest, but to no avail. Soon to be 24-year-old has had his reputation tarnished severely by Golden State, from his agent being a disaster, demanding $20 million annually. Minga, the type of player who showed glimpses of star-level athleticism, but too inconsistent. He's way past the Golden State fiasco. At this point, people realizing how him and his agents are the stupid ones. No disrespect, being mismanaged from day one, he might never get that big contract he was hoping for. Minga himself still thinks he's more impactful than he actually is. He'll only be getting $10 million max the way he's producing. When everyone thinks of him, it's not about the playstyle or highlights, but the contract situation disasters. Realistically, the type of guy to be a Sacramento Kings empty stats king. Had all the chance to learn how to play winning ball, being a supporting piece on a decent Golden State team that's won many titles, and he fumbled that. the reputation being labeled uncoachable, massive ego, and unproven. It's just easy for all parties if Minga continues his career overseas, so nobody will have his name associated with the NBA again, given all the endless headaches his party's been giving. Kuminga's career looking closer to Kevin Knox instead of Giannis, wanting upwards to $20 million to be the 5th best player on a good team. That's not happening. Not good enough to make threes as a role player. Taking a $15 million a year deal with a player option year 2, his best solution. Cleveland and Minnesota shown interest, both great options for the confusing lottery pick. Peyton Watson. Calvin Booth has done irreplaceable damage to the Nuggets franchise from giving Christian Braun over $100 million. The 23-year-old Watson has been much better after averaging over 14 a game. Banged up for the playoffs, he's seeking around $25 million a year for his new deal when he hasn't proven much to earn that type of money. Too risky for any team in the second apron era. Denver can offer him 5 years $70, but that's not gonna cut it, with the franchise on verge of losing Jokic if they don't do a damn thing to improve, stuck with Jamal Murray and Aaron Gordon being injury prone. Watson, another one of those non-proven potential stars, too risky to give him that money, way too small a sample size to be a sure thing. Had he not been hurt during the playoffs and helped the Nuggets beat Minnesota, he would have gotten a contract by now. The disastrous Christian Braun literally destroyed any hope the Nuggets have in adding more pieces. A sign and trade, the most likely case, with Denver getting a potential first rounder in return. Jokic time in the Mile High getting more slim by the month. Benedict Mathurin of the LA Clippers, restricted, good athletic scorer, but needs the ball in his hands. Despite being a huge part for the 2025 Pacers finals team, he was never in their future plans. That's why they got rid of him for Zubac. Super up and down. Teams don't have cap space to pay guys like him tons of money. The Clippers have all the advantage given the whole Kawhi Leonard aspirations fiasco still taking place. Mathurin, the type of frustrating player struggling franchise like the Bulls and Kings will gamble on, and he'll just suck the air out of those teams. Simply nothing more than a 6-man microwave bucket getter. One of those guys stuck in the middle of no man's land. Clippers can easily match any offer. If Mathurin was unrestricted free agent, would have been picked up by now. Mathurin at this point lucky if he gets the mid-level exception, might have to settle for a qualifying offer. Giving all the guards the Clippers have, a sign and trade should be coming before the end of the month. Russell Westbrook, time getting slimmer for the former MVP. His bad shooting as he ages continues to be his kryptonite. Soon to be 38 years old, already played 18 seasons. The ferocious style of play deserves more praise than given credit for. We might never see an explosive athletic point guard last as long as Russ, can still prove to be the best on the floor here and there. Proved it last season with Sacramento. Been a strong vocal leader last couple years. Denver wouldn't have made it past the Clippers in 2025 without Russ's presence round 1. Now he's been playing on a minimum for years. At this stage of his career, why not aim to play 20 seasons? Could become one of those guys waiting until a team's backup point guard gets hurt for the year. He signed with Sacramento October 16th of last season. Towards the very end of preseason, the Kings appear to have some interest bringing him back for the Vibes. Alongside Victor Oladipo, former number 2 pick, hasn't played in 3 full seasons. Now 34 years old, doesn't want his career to end in brutal fashion with the Heat. Desperately seeking for another chance, doing workouts, despite being hungry to come back, doing all he can. The truth sometimes too brutal to accept reality. Being an undersized 2 guard who's inefficient, barely shot 40% in the G League last season, a recipe for disaster. If Sacramento wanted their young guards to have good vets, adding Russ alongside Victor will be a good stepping stone for the team's rebuild. That's likely Oladipo's only chance back at the league. If he wants meaningful minutes, it's either overseas or retirement. Bradley Beal, it's time to conceal. After all that money he steals, might just become the first player to average 30 points twice in a season and not make the Hall of Fame. The perfect example of stat inflation on bad teams, declining his player option, only played 6 games last season, just turned 33 years old, but moving like he's 38, the type of player you stay away from, failed to show winning qualities in Phoenix, embarrassed himself all 2024 playoffs. At least least he'll be getting paid rest of the decade after being brought out by the Suns, getting them checks years after he's been in the league. Mr. Hall of Fame money steals. Bruce Brown, where was he last playoffs? Lost and never found. Should be thanking Jokic for the career he's been given. 2 years, $45 million signing after winning title 3 years ago, only to find himself being a minimum guy before age 30. Had to play power forward for key stretches last season. A jack of most trades, master of none, doesn't have a real position, can bring up the ball for a few possessions, but not great at it, can't shoot, lost some athletic burst that made him vital during the title run. Perhaps Denver waiting on the Peyton Watson signing. At this point in time, it won't hurt to bring Brown back to another vet minimum. Kevin Love, been watched for years, but a good vibes guy. 16 minutes off the bench in 37 games for Utah. The backup power forward can still space the floor, rebound, and be a top-notch cheerleader. There's no rush for any team to sign him. The destinations, either back to Cleveland or being a LeBron +1 in Philly, aka Bronny style version, might sign with the Sixers at some point into the season. Brandon Williams, averaged 13 a game for the Mavs, good score, but not the type of backup point guard any team wants. Shot a disgusting 23% from 3. His game focus on getting his own shots. 26 years old, would make a huge name for himself overseas. His weakness far outweighs his strengths. Don't be surprised to see Williams left unsigned heading to training camp. Do we even have to mention Cam Thomas? His name not even brought up as a top player to sign. The inefficient ball hawk, poster boy for being the king of empty stats, losing team guy this era. From the Bucks waiving him after 2 months, everybody assumed he's absolutely done for. Just like that, welcome to the reality of today's NBA. There's tons of score-first guards who don't defend, but are actually pretty good shooters, can pass, and don't have bad attitudes. Cam himself has a very crappy attitude, no personality. I'm not even sure if he's a good fit in EuroLeague. His talents has China written all over him. Doesn't even care to cheer for his fellow teammates when they were hooping. Very selfish and streaky. Already been injured a lot. Gambled on himself and lost. Had a prime situation in Brooklyn, looking to up his value to put up those empty stats, but chose his ego above being a team player. An absolute travesty of an NBA career. Fellow rookies out there, don't be like a Cam Thomas. Will need to go overseas, show some maturity. That's the only way he gets another shot at the NBA. Other bench guys includes 40-year-old Uncle Jeff Green, who's been getting called Unc for the entirety of this decade. Ochai struggled badly last season, super forgettable lottery pick. Nick Richards as a backup big can always get signed if he remains patient. Gabe Vincent, a shell of himself after balling with Miami 3 years ago. Going back to the Heat will be his only chance redeeming himself. Steph Curry getting too old, turning 36. If Golden State's front office not doing shit rest of the offseason, why not try to make Steph happy by signing his brother for another year? Tony Bradley averaged 4 and 3 last season. His only NBA moment everybody remembers, getting picked up and dragged by Steven Adams. Nothing else rings a bell.